Hello there, my name is Veena Prashant. I'm the co-founder of digitalaccesspass.com, and today I'm here to talk to you about GDPR and all the updates that we have made to DAP to help you deal with GDPR. Now, the upcoming General Data Protection Regulation, known as GDPR, is going to take effect on May 25th, 2018. And it will have significant implications, not just for businesses that are operating in the GDPR countries, but any businesses that hold data on GDPR citizens. This is actually part 2 of our GDPR release. In part 1, we released several updates to our shopping cart platform, smartpaycart.com, known as SPC, where we allow you to customize a GDPR terms section on your checkout form. So you can make the GDPR terms acceptance a required field on your order form. This way you'll be able to allow purchases from those in the GDPR countries only if they accept the GDPR terms. So part 1 of our GDPR release was mostly about updates to SPC, and part 2 of our GDPR release is all about updates that we have made to DAP. So in this video, I'll show you all the updates that we have made to DAP to deal with GDPR. In this release, we have updated the DAP member profile page, so the users that are from GDPR countries will now see a GDPR terms section on the user profile page, and now they can accept the terms or decline to accept the terms. And that information, whether they accepted or rejected the GDPR terms, it will be stored in their DAP user profile. Number 2, we have also updated the edit member page in the DAP admin dashboard. So now you can see if the users are marked as GDPR users and also whether or not they have accepted the GDPR terms. Number 3, we have also updated the DAP automation page so you can filter out GDPR transactions from being sent to your email platform, like say Aweber, ActiveCampaign, Drip, ConvertKit, MailChimp. You will be able to filter out GDPR transactions from being forwarded to your email platform. And even if you choose to add these users to your email platform, you can still have DAP tag them as GDPR users. And then you can decide what action you want to take based on the tags in your email platform. Number 4, DAP Form Builder updates. We have also updated the DAP Form Builder for free signups. So if you allow users to sign up for your free products using a free signup form that you create using the DAP Form Builder, you will now be able to allow users to sign up only if they accept the GDPR terms, similar to what we do with SPC for our paid products. So for paid products, if you sell using SPC on your checkout page, you can have the GDPR users first accept terms before they are allowed to make a purchase. Similarly, for free products, if you use the DAP Form Builder feature to create a free sign-up form, you can have the users accept terms before they are allowed to sign up and access the free content. Now again, all of this only affects GDPR users. So if it's not a GDPR user, they are never going to even see the GDPR terms section on your checkout page or on your free sign-up form. The only time they are going to see the GDPR terms section is if they are from a GDPR country. So now let me show you how you can set this all up. So let's start with the My Profile page. Now My Profile page is the page where your users can update their profile information. Now GDPR status is going to be part of user's profile going forward. So a user can accept or decline GDPR consent on the profile page. So to create a profile page, visit WordPress admin pages and then click on DAP member pages, select My Profile, next. Now here you're going to find GDPR options. Allow GDPR if you want to show GDPR checkbox on the profile page, set this to yes. GDPR label, you can change the label text here. GDPR terms, now this is all click and edit, so you can enter the GDPR terms here, and all of this is click and edit. And then GDPR confirmation message. So if a user does not check the box, the GDPR terms checkbox, then they are going to see this message. So you can change this message to whatever you want it to say, and then go ahead and generate the shortcode and then publish this. So now if a GDPR user visits the profile page, they are going to find this GDPR section right here. This is only going to show up for GDPR users. So if a non-GDPR user visits the same page, they are not going to see this entire section. So if they agree and give the consent and click on update, it will all go through fine, and their consent will be stored in the user record in DAP. And if they decide not to give you the consent and click on update, it's going to show them this message. And if they say okay, that information is also going to be stored in the user record in DAP. So let me show you where you can find this information in DAP. So if you want to find a user's GDPR status, visit DAP admin members manage page, find the user, click on their name or this little editor icon next to it, and it's going to bring you to the edit member page. And here you will find the GDPR status of the user. It's set to yes, it means they have accepted and given you the consent. And if it is set to say no, it means they saw the GDPR terms but have specifically chosen not to give you the GDPR consent. And if it is set to not a GDPR user, it means either the purchase came through SPC, the user is not a GDPR user, so SPC sets the DAP GDPR status for the user as not a GDPR user, or the user signed up using the DAP free sign-up form that you created using the DAP Form Builder. And again, the user was not a GDPR user, so the form builder marks the user as not a GDPR user. So those are the two cases where it will be set to not a GDPR user. Otherwise, in all other cases, it will just be set to select because DAP won't know whether they are a GDPR user or not. So if DAP does not have an opportunity to interact with the customer in the front end, then DAP won't know if it's a GDPR user or not. So in that case, it will just say select because DAP won't know whether or not they are a GDPR user. So if you want to manually reset their status, you can do that in the backend in the edit member page, and then just click on update member and it will save that status. Now, one important thing is that DAP can only control the GDPR options for front-end interfaces that are managed by DAP. If you use Smart Pay Cart, which is our shopping cart platform to sell, then SPC will be able to manage the GDPR options, and it will work with DAP to store the GDPR status in the user record and then take action based on the user's GDPR status. Similarly, if you use the DAP Form Builder to create a free sign-up form for your free products, and your users sign up through that free sign-up form, again, DAP can manage and control the GDPR options because the sign-ups are happening from the DAP interface. But if you use an external shopping cart platform, or if you use a sign-up form that's not generated in DAP, then DAP cannot control the GDPR options. So in that case, you'll have to make sure that whatever platform you use, whether it's a shopping cart platform or whatever front-end interface you're using for your free sign-up form, that you have the options that that platform provides for GDPR checkboxes and for GDPR compliance. DAP cannot manage those. So here's a quick look at the DAP Form Builders. So you can create a DAP free sign-up form using the DAP Form Builder. So visit Products, Levels, Create Manage Forms page in the DAP admin dashboard to get started. It's going to bring up a page like this. Then click on Create New Form to create a new sign-up form. Give the form a name. Click on Next. Select the product for which you want to create the form. And then redirect. Where do you want to send the users after they sign up? Do you want them to be logged in when they sign up? So you can say yes if you want them to be logged in right away. And then select a template. It comes with 2 templates. Both the templates are fully customizable. And now here you will see the GDPR options. So here you can enable GDPR. You can make it required if you want. This way, if users do not accept and do not give you the consent, they will not be able to sign up at all. And if you want to allow them to sign up, even if they don't give you the consent, what will happen is if they don't give you the consent, they don't check the box, and they go ahead and click on sign up button, then the GDPR status is going to be stored in the user record. So if you see the user record, it's going to say GDPR consent no. So you will know that a GDPR user but did not give the GDPR consent. Now DAP uses the GDPR status of the user to figure out whether or not to send the user information to external platforms. So for example, say that you have connected DAP to Aweber using the DAP Automation Engine or using the DAP plugin notification system. And you want the users that sign up, whether they sign up through your free sign up form or they make a purchase of your product, say that you want them to be added to your email platform. So based on the GDPR configuration that you have, and based on users' GDPR status, DAP is going to figure out whether or not the GDPR transactions should be forwarded on to the external platform. So let me show you how that works. So this is the DAP Automation Engine that you can access from DAP Products, Levels, Manage Automation page. And you can use the Automation Engine to connect DAP with external platforms. So what we have done here is that you will see that there is the setting for GDPR right here. And there are two settings. One that says filter GDPR transactions if consent not received and send GDPR tags. So what that means is, say that you are using SPC as your shopping cart platform and you have a checkbox on your checkout page where you allow GDPR users to give you their consent. And there are two things you can do with it. You can make the checkbox a required field, so if they don't give the consent, they cannot purchase at all. Or you can make it a not required field, which means even if they don't give the consent, they can complete the purchase. But after that, after the purchase is complete, what happens next is what is going to be decided by this configuration. So say that a GDPR user visits the checkout page, they see the GDPR terms, they do not accept it, they complete the purchase. And now what happens is, say that you have said, filter GDPR if consent not received. Then what DAP will do is it will not forward the subscriber information to the external platform. That's because the user has not given the consent, and you have checked the box here that says filter all the GDPR transactions if the consent is not received. So the user will not make it to the external platform at all. Now say that you had not checked this. So what will happen in this case is that even though the user did not give you the consent on the checkout page, because you have elected not to filter these transactions, DAP will still forward the transaction to the external platform. And say that you have checked this box that says send GDPR tags, then DAP will automatically send GDPR tags to the external platform. Just by looking at the subscriber record, you'll be able to tell if it's a GDPR user or not in your email platform, whatever platform you have connected to DAP. So if you sell using SPC, you basically have three options. One, you can require GDPR consent for purchase. So if users do not give you the consent, they cannot complete the purchase. So that's one option. The other option is you can allow them to purchase even if they don't give you the consent, but you can filter out all the GDPR transactions and do not forward them to your email platform, so they will not receive any other emails from you. And if you don't want to do that either, then you can still send it to the email platform, but you can enable tagging so that DAP can tag the users with a specific tag. And the tag is basically called GDPR consent yes. So it's a static tag. We have named it GDPR consent yes, and it'll be added to the user record in your email platform. And then you can decide what you want to do with the tag in your email platform. Now this filtering option is also used if users sign up for your free products using the DAP Form Builder generated sign-up form that I showed you earlier. So if they sign up using that and they don't give you the consent, and if you don't require them to give you a consent to be able to sign up, then they will be able to sign up, but you can stop them here at this point and say filter out all the GDPR users if consent is not received. So if this filtering is enabled, then even if they sign up and get access to your free content, you can prevent them from being added to your email platform, so they will not receive any other emails from you going forward from your autoresponders. And also if you don't want to filter them out, you want to add them to your email platform but want them to be tagged, then you can just enable the tagging. So the user record will be tagged with a specific tag, and they will still be added to the email platform. And then you can take action in your email platform based on the specific tags that they have. So here's a cool tip for testing GDPR. Say that you use SPC as your shopping cart platform. In SPC EU-WAD GDPR page, in the GDPR EU list tab, you can add your country as a GDPR country, even if it's not. And the reason for that is that in the SPC checkout page, the GDPR section, the GDPR checkbox, the GDPR term, all of that, it's only going to show up for users that are from GDPR country. So how do you test and how do you make sure that everything is looking good on the checkout page, the terms look right and all that? So to do that, if you're not from a GDPR country and you want to test it, all you have to do is add whatever country you want that you are testing from as a GDPR country. Just click on add new country and add your country here. And then when you go to the checkout page, it's going to show the GDPR options. Once you're done testing, then be sure to remove your country from the GDPR list here, whatever country you add here. But that's one way to test GDPR options if you use SPC to sell. Now say that you want to test your free sign-up form. So this is a free sign-up form that I have created using the DAP Form Builder, and I have enabled the GDPR section, so it's showing up here. And also the reason it's showing up here, even though I'm not from a GDPR country, is because I have added something to the DAP config file that is allowing me to test GDPR options and display the GDPR settings here, even though I am not from a GDPR country. Because if users are not from a GDPR country, they are never going to see this section. So the only reason I'm still seeing it is because I have set this to always display, even if I'm not from a GDPR country. So let me show you how I did this. So FTP to your side, in the DAP folder, look for dap-config.php file. This will be in the DAP folder. So edit that file and just add this one line of code to the DAP config file. So it just says GDPR testing as Y for yes. So if you just have this line, then it's always going to show the GDPR terms section, even if the user is not from a GDPR country. Obviously, you only want to do this when you are testing things, and once you are done testing, be sure to comment this out or just remove this line. Otherwise, even if the user is not a GDPR user, they will end up seeing the GDPR checkbox and GDPR terms, and you don't want to do that. So be sure to remove this line when you are no longer testing. So these are the updates we have made to DAP so far to deal with GDPR. There are some more updates that we are going to be releasing related to the DAP's built-in email autoresponder and the built-in broadcast system. If you use an external system and connect DAP to an external system, then all the GDPR setting and the filter will apply to that. And if you use the DAP's built-in email platform like email autoresponder and the email broadcast system, then currently we don't have a way to filter out GDPR transactions, so that's coming soon, so stay tuned for that. So that's it for now. I hope this was useful. I hope this helps you prepare for GDPR. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, let me know in my Facebook group, which is at dapcast.com/group. My name is Veena Prashant. Thanks for watching.